Acts of Congress under local powers of legislation of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation. A municipal corporation is a public corporation, created by government for political purposes, and having subordinate and local powers of legislation. Supra. N24. When Congress legislate in behalf of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation, constructive board of directors thereof, they do so as a territorial, municipal, legislative body and are indistinguishable from the representatives of the United States of America. In general, Congress assembled of the Declaration of Independence of July 4, 1776, and Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled of every congressional legislative act since that time, except for one telltale characteristic: the geographical area over which each respective legislative act asserts power of territorial and personal jurisdiction, to wit, the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation 49 enjoys territorial and personal, and subject matter, jurisdiction within the exterior limits of 1. The geographical District of Columbia, 2. All places purchased by the corporate District of Columbia, and 3. All territory or other property belonging to the corporate District of Columbia, whereas, neither the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence nor the framers in the Constitution treat of state or United States as anything but a popular and ordinary word. Congress today pervert the meaning of these by transmuting them into terms of art, so legislative acts appear to conform to the two aforesaid foundational instruments but instead allow Congress to legislate for the for-profit District of Columbia Municipal Corporation without detection. When, in a particular legislative act, Congress assert power of territorial and personal legislative jurisdiction over what is defined to be a state and the residents thereof, it is a certainty that one of two things is the case. Either Congress are acting in capacity of a 1. National legislative body and willfully violating and exceeding the territorial and personal jurisdictional limitations set forth in Articles 1 Section 8, 17, and 4 Section 3, 2, of the Constitution, an act, as demonstrated elsewhere in this web page, of constructive treason, or 2. Territorial, municipal legislative body and exercising power of territorial and personal legislative jurisdiction as authorized by Article 4 Section 3, 2, of the Constitution over territory property belonging to the United States, defined now to mean the District of Columbia. Fides servanda, good faith must be observed, wherefore, the correct choice is 2. Corollary 50. Any congressional legislative act the assertion of power of territorial and personal legislative jurisdiction of which purports to extend to a state and those who reside there, in apparent contravention of the jurisdictional provisions of the Constitution, signifies that 1. State is a term of art and means either a. The District of Columbia, only, or b. The District of Columbia or one of the territories. 2. Congress are acting in capacity of a territorial, municipal, not a national, legislative body under authority of Article 4 Section 3, 2, of the Constitution, and 3. The subject legislation is that of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation 49, an act to Contemporary examples of legislative acts of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation. Patriot Act. As shown supra. The Patriot Act is legislation of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation. Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Obamacare. This act provides 6 different definitions of state, 3 of United States, e.g., Title I, Quality, Affordable Health Care for All Americans. Subtitle D, Available Coverage Choices for All Americans. Part I, Establishment of Qualified Health Plans. SEC 1304. Related definitions. D. State. In this title, the term state means each of the 50 states and the District of Columbia. 51. Emphasis added, because 50 states is not defined in the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Hereinafter the Affordable Care Act, we are left to work with states, which is a term, but also the subject of the instant definition, thereby rendering each of the 50 states a phrase of uncertain meaning to which we must apply relative rules and principles of statutory interpretation. CN 20, supra, or page 14 hereof for the Black's Law Dictionary definition of the same rule, in order to determine the meaning of state, to wit, in pertinent part 8, the rule nocitur associis, known by its associates, when a word or phrase is of uncertain meaning, it should be construed in the light of the surrounding words. The words surrounding the phrase each of the 50 states are the term state means the District of Columbia. This meaning, 1. Comports with the territorial and personal legislative jurisdictional provisions of the Constitution, and 2. Is in pari materia, supra N 47-48, with the other 5 definitions of state in the Affordable Care Act. Wherefore, Title I of the Affordable Care Act obtains only against residents of the District of Columbia, and the said act is legislation of the corporate District of Columbia. Regarding the meaning of the undefined expression the 50 states, most Americans do not know that. Supporting citations of authority follow immediately hereinafter. 1. There are 2 types of residence: actual, physical, and legal, both of which may exist in the same place at the same time or independently of each other. 2. Legal residence is also known as domicile. 3. The domicile, legal residence of any American holding a franchise from the government of the United States is, for certain legal purposes such as taxation and licensing, the seat of the government of the United States, i.e., the District of Columbia. 4. The right, entitlement to receive benefits through Social Security, a retirement program of the government of United States, is a franchise. 5. Anyone holding a Social Security franchise is a member of the class defined in law as federal personnel and a United States government employee. 6. The United States is also known as the District of Columbia. 7. A resident, actual or legal, of the District of Columbia is also known as a citizen of the United States. 8. A citizen of the United States is a citizen of the federal government and defined in law to be an individual and person. 9. Individuals and persons, as residents, actual or legal, of the District of Columbia, are the subject of all legislation within the District of Columbia. 10. Legislative acts of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation, which is a public corporation, created by government for political purposes, supra N 24, and domiciled in the District of Columbia, obtain against all individuals and persons. 11. Every American who has the right, entitlement to receive Social Security benefits is the subject of all legislation of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation. 12. Despite legal residence, domicile in the District of Columbia, many individuals and persons also have physical residence in one of the 50 respective Union states. 13. Statutes in derogation of common law must be strictly construed, and the 50 states are, literally, the 50 District of Columbias. 14. The 50 District of Columbias are the 50 political societies of legal residents of the District of Columbia, Social Security franchisees, federal personnel, United States government employees, individuals, persons, citizens of the United States, and citizens of the federal government who physically reside within the exterior limits of one of the 50 respective Union states. 15. The expression 50 states is a general, undefined expression coined by Congress acting in capacity of territorial, municipal legislative body of the District of Columbia Municipal Corporation, whose nature is political, not geographical. 16. Every so-called state of, e.g., State of North Dakota, State of Maine, etc., is a political subdivision of the District of Columbia, not a geographical area. Respective citations of authority for the foregoing statements of fact are, in pertinent part, emphasis added in all citations. Residence, the act or fact of living in a given place for some time. Residence usu just means bodily presence as an inhabitant in a given place. Domicile usu requires bodily presence plus an intention to make the place one's home. A person thus may have more than one residence at a time, but only one domicile.